In the Edo period in Japan, there were two kappas chatting in the grass. Little kappa asked his father, "Have you ever seen a dragon? Is it scary?" Kappa father said, "It's scary. But humans are even scarier than dragons." Kappa father told his son to hold a big fish that he wanted to give to the humans as a thank you gift and to hide until little kappa heard his call. Two drunken official samurai staggered by, discussing how to make false accounts and profits from them. It turned out that they had received a mission to turn land into farmland here. Suddenly Kappa father popped up, and the two men panicked. He explained that he just had a small request for them. His family lived in the Ryujin swamp, so Kappa father pleaded with them not to reclaim the Ryujin swamp or they would have no place to live. The two men thought that the Kappa father overheard the conversation they just had. However, the Kappa father denied that he heard anything. Little Kappa, worried about his dad, got out from behind and handed the big fish to the men, begging them not to get angry at his dad and not to hurt his dad. However, the man flashed his knife, cutting off the Kappa father's arm and killing him in front of little Kappa. He wanted to kill little Kappa too, but an earthquake occurred and the earth cracked open. Little Kappa fell into a crack during his escape, burying him permanently as if this was the only way to protect him from the human world. A few hundred years later, Kuchi, the protagonist, is on his way home from school, discussing with his classmates where to go for the holiday. While playing with classmates, Kuchi's shoe flies out, hits on the girl Sayoko's school bag, and falls under the bridge. The classmates tease Kuchi, saying he likes Sayoko, then make faces at Sayoko and run away. Kuchi climbs under the bridge to pick up his shoe and finds little Kappa attached to a rock, mistaking it for a fossil, so he puts it in his bag. Sayoko asks him if he's okay. When confronted with Sayoko's concern, Kuchi speaks ill of her instead because Sayoko is the unpopular girl in class, the object of everyone's bullying. Kuchi doesn't really hate her, but just blindly hates the object of everyone's hatred. Back home, he is scolded by his mother for his soiled clothes. He wants to clean the fossil and soaks it in water. Just then, Kappa slowly comes to life and seems to get bigger in size. His dad returns and recognizes it as a kappa, a rare species in modern times. Kuchi decides to give the kappa a name. Since it cries Ku, Kuchi thinks he'd name it Ku. Kuchi wants to raise Ku, but his mother and sister are disgusted by it and constantly let Kuchi throw away this creepy thing. Ku finally weakly opens his mouth, saying do not kill him, save him. His father tells Kuchi to soak Ku in the water and pour water onto the plate on its head. He's learned that a kappa is weakened if its plate dries. While father and son are discussing how to feed Ku, his mother suggests sashimi. As she watches Ku swallow the food, Kuchi's mother, who was yelling about throwing away Ku a minute ago, can't help but feel happy. To not cause a commotion, their family decides to keep the kappa a secret. Ku asks them if this place is close to Kuruma River. The family search on internet and discover the Kuruma River where they now live was known as Kuruma River in the Edo period, meaning Ku was born in the Edo period. Kuchi remembers the samurai of the Edo period and acts like a samurai wielding a sword, which causes Ku to recall his father being killed by a samurai and is horrified. To comfort Ku, Kuchi tells him that the Edo period ended over 100 years ago and that there will be no more samurai now. In the following days, Kuchi begins to teach Ku to walk, feed him delicious sashimi, bathe him, and teach him how to use the toilet. Ku even befriends Kuchi's dog. However, Ku remembers his father told him that kappa and humans could not live together, so after his health is restored, Ku says goodbye to the Kuchi family, saying he would definitely bring a big fish to thank them in the future. But the Kuchi family retains Ku. After all, if Ku barges into the human world, what awaits him would only be something more frightening than the samurai. Kuchi hides Ku in his school bag and takes him to see the outside. In 100 years, the world has changed drastically, with tall buildings, modern roads and facilities. Kuchi patiently introduces these new things to Ku. Since Ku came to the house, Kuchi's sister, Hitomi, was very upset. She dislikes Ku because she thinks Ku looks ugly. Now Ku lives in her house, shares her parents' love with her, and sits on her favorite chair. A furious Hitomi then pushes down Ku. Ku thinks that Hitomi is trying to do sumo wrestling with him. Therefore, he throws her onto the sofa. Kuchi finds that the tiny Ku is actually very powerful, so he and his dad also want to sumo wrestle with him. Ku wins them with ease. To celebrate his victory, Kuchi's father pours some wine on the plate on Ku's head. Unexpectedly, Ku gets drunk immediately and turns completely red. Late at night, Ku wakes up to find it's raining outside. He comes to the door but doesn't know how to open it. Then, he receives a guide outside the door and finally opens it. It turns out it's Kuchi's pet dog Asen who teaches him how to open the door. Asen teaches Ku how to communicate without making a sound and only via telepathy. Ku wants to wander around, but the dog reminds him not to be seen by humans or he'd be dangerous. A couple who just returns home from a late-night movie happens to pass by and are startled by Ku. The next day, the news spreads swiftly. Kuchi's classmates ask Kuchi to bring Ku to show them. Kuchi refuses them, so the classmates alienate him together. Kuchi falls into the same predicament as Sayoko. But Sayoko is still willing to talk to him and urges Kuchi to protect Ku well. Ku finds a place called Tuno from the magazine. It is said that Tuno has other kappa. Kuchi decides to take Ku to Tuno to look for other kappa. They walk for a long time and finally arrive at the legendary spot where kappa appeared. But there is no kappa here, only people who want to catch kappa, because there is a reward of 10 million yen for capturing one alive. There's a camera hidden in the tree for 24-hour surveillance, and the kappa would be spotted as soon as it shows up. Although the chance of finding another kappa is small, Kuchi doesn't give up. He takes Ku running among nature and swimming in the clear river. Obviously, Ku prefers to live among nature. At night, Ku meets a Zashikiwarasihi at the inn where they are staying. Zashikiwarasihi is a folklore creature that resembles a 5 or 6-year-old child. If the Zashikiwarashi lives in your residence, they'll bring fortune. Zashikiwarasihi tells him that she has not seen kappa for 100 years, which is undoubtedly bad news for Ku. He gives up looking for kappa and goes home with Kuchi. As they arrive at the doorstep, two unscrupulous reporters who were ambushing immediately jump out. They pull open Kuchi's school bag and snap pictures of Ku. The camera's flash triggers Ku's inner fear and shadow, reminding him of the samurai killing his father back then. Fear causes Ku to scream and the reporter's camera lens is shattered. Kuchi takes the opportunity to escape home with Ku. As Ku's picture is published in a magazine, the Kuchi family is harassed by the reporters. Reporters are like flies outside the house, some even peeping through the house windows to get a scoop on kappa. Kuchi's father is forced to be interviewed by the reporters, and Ku feels upset by the trouble he has caused to Kuchi's family. They have to unplug their phone lines and stay home, but the reporters don't let them off the hook. Kuchi's father's boss asks Kuchi's father to bring his family and Ku on a TV show to please his business partner. To support Kuchi's father's work, Ku agrees to be interviewed. They need to take a car to the live site. As Ku walks outside the house, the flashing light and the noise make him feel uneasy. Asen is very worried about Ku, so he volunteers to accompany Ku to the scene. On their way, Ku is nervous and anxious, but Kuchi acts as if he couldn't see Ku's emotions and even hums a song happily. Ku feels that Kuchi has changed. Asen tells him that humans can change all of a sudden like this. Asen tells Ku that he had a former owner named Tom who took good care of him. But after Tom went to junior high school, he was bullied by his classmates. And Asen was the only one Tom could bully in return. At that time, Asen was beaten severely by Tom every day. Asen didn't like being hit, and didn't like seeing his owner turning into what he was either. One day Asen couldn't take it anymore and escaped. He met the young Kuchi in the woods. Asen knows the fickleness of human nature, but still chooses to faithfully guard his master. Ku arrives on the air and originally everything is going well until the show brings in Mr. Shimizu who has been studying kappa for years. He looks exactly like the man who killed Ku's dad. It turned out he was the descendant of that samurai who killed Ku's dad. He says his ancestor has once gotten rid of a mischievous kappa and he brings the remnants of that kappa, which is Ku's dad's arm. Seeing his father's arm, Ku bursts into tears and tells Shimizu his dad wasn't a mischievous kappa, but an expert at catching fish, a kind and admirable kappa. He shatters the camera in the room, grabs his father's arm and runs away. The Kuchi family is stunned, and only Asen bravely comes to Ku's rescue, after which people frantically chase them. Asen takes Ku through one road after another, but no matter where they go, they can't escape from the people chasing them. The more time passes, the more tired Asen becomes. Finally, when he is forced by humans to rush to the road, Asen is knocked down by a speeding car. Before he dies, Asen is convulsing with pain, but in his mind he's still thinking about his previous owner Tom. Asen wonders, would it have been better if Asen had stayed with Tom and got beaten? If Asen had stayed, maybe Tom would have a way to get rid of his frustrations. Asen died. Not only do people not sympathize with him, but they keep snapping pictures of Ku. Ku, in front of the crowd, furiously kills a crow that wants to eat Asen. Blood spills on people's faces, making them afraid. Finally they try to escape. Ku then climbs up the Tokyo Tower, climbing higher and higher without looking back. He wants to get away from the crowd, the further the better. Ku thinks the whole world is like a human lair. There is no more kappa, and every species will be killed by humans. The sun is blazing, and the plate on his head is drying up. Ku looks at the bottom of the tower and thinks to himself that if he fell from here, he would be able to go see his father. However, when he comes up with this idea, the sky suddenly clouds, and it rains heavily. A water elemental dragon appears, convincing Ku to keep living. Ku finally realizes that his father wants him to live. Later, Ku goes home with Kuchi. They place a picture of Asen in the house. Kuchi's mother sews a small bag for Ku to put his dad's arm in, so that no one can take it away. Kuchi and Sayoko get along well. Their classmates come after them, calling them two freaks, what a perfect match, and then keep laughing at them. Kuchi can't take it anymore and reprimands them, but is met with even more humiliating insults. Her classmate says he's heard that Sayoko's father has an affair. So does her mother. She yells at him and asks him to stop, then is pushed to the ground, and her classmates laugh even more. Kuchi gets angry and uses the sumo method Ku taught him earlier to beat up his classmates. On the way home, Sayoko tells Kuchi that her parents are divorced, and she is moving back to the countryside with her mother. She thanks Kuchi for being willing to keep her company and talk to her. Ku receives a letter from a small island asking Ku to go over and live with him. Sensing that the person who wrote the letter is not human, Ku is determined to go to the island. Faced with Ku's departure, Kuchi's father chooses to let him go because he knows the human world is not suitable for Ku. The family happily has their last dinner with Ku and takes a photo together. Before leaving, they all try not to talk. Kuchi's sister can't help but ask, when will Ku come back next time? Ku tells her, he doesn't know when it'll be, but he'll definitely come by and see her again. Kappas don't lie. Kuchi's father comes outside and tells the reporters he's gonna send Ku away because he's unable to raise it anymore. Then he drives away with an empty box to lure away the reporters. Kuchi then escapes with the real box containing Ku. He takes Ku to meet with Sayoko, saying that he wouldn't have met Ku if his shoe hadn't hit her school bag. After he tells her Ku's story, Ku's bravery touches Sayoko. Ku may be the last kappa in the world, but he still doesn't give up his hope in life and moves forward positively. So Sayoko is also determined to face a brand new life positively. Later, Kuchi arrives at the mailing station. He fills out the consignment note and then waits until the box containing Ku is sent away. Suddenly, Kuchi is able to hear Ku's inner voice. Ku is using his telepathy to talk to Kuchi. Ku says, Kuchi, don't blame yourself so much. I don't have a grudge or anything. I enjoyed living with you. Kuchi cries and chases after Ku, but he's unable to catch up. A few days later, Ku arrives at the island where he meets Kijimuna. It's like a relative of the Kappas. Kijimuna teaches Ku how to turn into human form to full human eyes so they can fit into this world better. Ku thinks maybe there are Kappas out there who can take the form of a human. After taking a rest on the island, he's going on a journey to find the Kappas. The movie ends here. The summer Ku spent with the Kuchi family was a happy one even though he lived in a completely unfamiliar environment. With the Kuchi family's warm and sincere care, Ku felt like a part of this family. Kuchi took him to look for his own kind, talked with Asen, sumo wrestling with the family, ate together, and lived together. This summer is so different that even after a long time, even if they are separated, no matter where in the world they go in the future, when they think of this summer, they will still feel warm, and feel that it was great to meet you that summer. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more stories like this if you enjoy.